Today marks 75 years since the D-Day landings of Normandy during World War II. On June 6, 1944, American, British, Canadian, French soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy, France, marking the beginning of the end of the conflict. The assault eventually won back control of France from German forces, and it was the largest invasion by air, land, and sea in history. Joining us this morning on the phone, local historian Feliks Banel, who is in Normandy this morning. Felix, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bill.
All right, so Felix, I know you've been planning this for a long, long time. You really wanted to be there. What does it feel like for you to be there and to witness what you're experiencing today?
You know, it's everything I hoped it would be, but it's even more because the emotions are even deeper. There's so many people here. I've talked to people from Holland, from Switzerland, from England. Everybody here has some personal connection who I've talked to, people whose fathers fought on the beaches or grandfathers, or fathers who set up. One guy, I met a guy whose father was responsible for this memorial that was put in it at Sword Beach where the British landed, and his father passed away 2 years ago, but he keeps coming back even though his father's gone. It's a very personal thing, and I feel it here too, and it's like this kind of a mixture of sadness and excitement about marking this incredible occasion 75 years ago.
You know, it's interesting, too. We're looking at some of the video that you shot today, and there was a great shot right there of Normandy Beach and the memorial that is now standing on the beach where so many soldiers stormed the beach. And, you know, if you've watched Saving Private Ryan or anything like that, you know what a heroic and dire mission that this was. I mean, talk about the historic significance of this date in history.
Well, it was a couple years in the planning. They were asking people in Great Britain to send in any vacation pictures they might have taken in France, in the north of France, in the early 40s or late 1930s. It had to be done secretly. They had to trick the Germans about where they were going to land. They had dummy aircraft and dummy paratroopers coming in. It was a huge, huge operation. The logistics were crazy. They moved about 160,000 men, something like 30,000 vehicles, this huge amount of equipment on shore in the greatest operation that we'll probably ever see ever again in the history of the world. And it didn't go completely smoothly. I mean, lots of people died. There's 9,000 Americans buried in the Normandy American Cemetery because it was the Germans had hardened defenses, and they were waiting for the Allies to come ashore. They didn't know where, but they were prepared in some ways, and that's why so many people died, particularly at Omaha Beach where that cemetery is. And, you know, if you've been to ocean shores, if you've been to the Oregon coast, that's kind of what the D-Day beaches look like. They're just these regular old beaches, but they've been made this incredible hallowed ground by the sacrifices of so many people 75 years ago.
Yeah, some 4,000 Allied soldiers lost their lives in the invasion. What is the mood there, if you can pick up on that?
You know, there was one particular soldier I spoke to yesterday who was here 75 years ago, a guy named Jack Claiborne. I asked him, how does it feel to be back 75 years exactly? And he said, it's sad, but I'm enjoying it, and that's exactly the mood, because it's not a party exactly, but there's a feeling that this might be the last big celebration where a lot of these guys who are in their 90s now will be around, and so people are pouring a lot of extra effort and emotion into this year, particularly. I'm guessing they're probably right. It won't be a big deal for the 80th or the 85th because the guys who were actually here 75 years ago will likely have moved on.
Yeah, Feliks Banel, a local historian, and really appreciate your perspective there on the ground in Normandy this morning. All right, let's check.